I work like I drink, alone, but with a monkey watching me. Here's your look at the brand new Super7 The Simpsons Ultimates, Krusty the Clown. Jovial on the outside, miserable on the inside, Krusty the Clown is the archetype for a beloved performer who gets no joy from giving it. This 7-inch scale, highly articulated Simpsons Ultimates Krusty the Clown features premium detail and comes with interchangeable heads and hands, and a variety of other accessories, including a box of Krustios, cream pie, and Mr. Teeny figure. After more than 30 years on the air, it seems like the Simpsons will be around forever, but the chance to get this made-to-order Krusty the Clown Ultimates figure won't be, so don't miss out. There are only really two rules on TV. Don't swear and don't whip it out. It's not rocket science. Just before, of course, we get a closer look at the new Super7 Simpsons Ultimates Krusty the Clown, I'm going to grab the tape measure, and it's going to tell us that the figure stands at 7 inches exactly, or the figure's about 18 centimeters tall. Let's bring in some of the other residents of Springfield. Here's what Krusty the Clown looks like with Deep Space Homer. Here's as well what he looks like with Moe, which is a reminder to me I still have to reach out to Super7 and see if it's still eligible that I can get myself the apron. Moe was never packed with an apron, but Super7 did say that customers that got the figure and wanted to still get the apron, they could send him the replacement. I hope that window hasn't closed. Here's what as well what the figure looks like with the Bartman we just recently had a look at. And if you were running and screaming for your lives when you visited Itchy and Scratchy Land, then you were probably running from these two. Here's what the figures look like, or here's what Krusty looks like with Robot Itchy and Scratchy. Herschel Schmoinkel pinches Jurgen Kristofsky does pretty good for himself when it comes to the accessories. First, the thing we'll have a look at is Mr. Teeny. He isn't actually so teeny, in fact. I mean, he's really quite a large-sized chimp. I was kind of hoping, though, they would have a little bit more posability than what he actually has. He has nothing, though, in the arms, and he only really possesses articulation here in the top of his head. Funny, though, in the pictures that we've seen when they were advertising, when you go online and try to order Krusty the Clown for yourself, they do actually depict Mr. Teeny holding the box of Krustios under his arm. There doesn't seem to be a way to do this. I thought maybe you could actually wedge it in between his thumb and his armpit, but there just isn't enough clearance. I'm not really sure why specifically his arm is posed like this. You can't even take the Krustios and wedge it in between his fingers this way. It just isn't going to cut it. So if anything, he's just going to be posed like this. To bring in the other animals, by the way, we've gotten, first of all, here's what he looks like with the panda from Moe. And, of course, Bartman also came included with Santa's Little Helper. So we got ourselves some of the animals of Springfield as well. I'm sure that when we do get ourselves Lisa, that Snowball 1 or Snowball 2 is probably going to be coming included with her. So that is Mr. Teeny. The figure as well comes included with a cream pie. The cream pie is nicely molded here, painted very well, in fact, actually with a cream on the top, and of course the pie plate cover on the bottom, the pie shell, what would you call that? The pie tin, painted nicely on the bottom there as well. We will, of course, want to go back to as well the Krustios. The Krustios are nicely detailed. You can see that with the Krustios, free inside, one jagged metal Krustio. Funny enough, though, they do also pack a Krustio that comes included with it, and of course, it's not something you will want to be swallowing. Krusty learns that real quickly. It's a decent box. On the side, it does have what would be the suggested serving size and whatever health benefits that go along with it. There isn't any health benefits. The box itself also, if you look at it, it's upside down. So one side is actually the inverted image, and then you have to flip this around. So if I flip it this way and then you turn it this way, you can see it's the same image, but it's upside down. I don't know why they would have done that instead of just simply probably printing a different image on the back. And then on the side, I guess that would be the nutritional information. I mean, probably I can't even imagine how much sugar would actually be in this. And then maybe on this side, tell you maybe a little bit more about Krusty the Clown. It's just really a strange box for the fact that it's got one image one way, and then they flip the image on the other way. By the way, the tiny little Krustio, the metal serrated Krustio is probably something I'm going to be losing quite quickly. I'm just going to put it off to the side. The figure as well comes included with his microphone. The microphone does actually have like a little button right here where he would press and then be able to speak into it. On the top, it's been painted in silver. The bottom half, though, of the microphone has been painted kind of more in a dark gray. And he has at least the means to hold this. Actually, really, with the hands that he has right now, or he also comes included with a couple of gripping hands, you can easily slide the mic in there as well. Probably going to have the figure, I'm guessing, displayed with the microphone, even though he really has a lot of cool accessories with him. Speaking of hands, though, like I said, he does have kind of slightly relaxed holding hands, but he also has ones very much dedicated to holding the microphone. He also as well comes included with kind of gestured hands, or clowning around hands. Oh, by the way, I certainly hope that we get ourselves a Sideshow Bob. Oh, let it be the case that we get a Sideshow Bob. I'm sure there's probably a couple of variations of Sideshow we can also get as well. Anyways, he comes with a couple of clowning hands. Put those off to the side. And he also comes with a cocktail hand, holding the glass, I'm sure, that doesn't have lemonade inside. This is one that I did actually start this review with him actually holding or wearing the jacket. When he was wearing the robe, I kind of then defaulted kind of the more ticked off face sculpt, and I had the figure displayed with this glass. I'm glad, first of all, that the glass is already permanently attached to the hand, so you don't have to worry about trying to wedge it in there every single time. More companies really need to do this. Hands are already dedicated for certain accessories. Just mold the accessory within the hand, so you don't have to worry about trying to fight it in there every single time. The figure also as well, like I said, does come included with his robe, which I did have it on him at the beginning of this review. It's not, as well stitched on the inside, but it does look good on the outside. You got the purple on the ends of the sleeves, a matching purple belt that's going to wrap around the figure's body. And it's quite an easy case of actually just taking the figure's arms. You just bring them back like this. And then you don't even really have to remove the glove hands either. Just slide them over top of his arms like this. It's like dressing a small child. And then you're just going to bring the arms around. If I can actually get it just around his one other hand here. Oh, it's the thumb. It's the thumb that was doing it. He does also have the little K there on to the side, and then it's just a case of belting off the front of his robe, and he can wear it around like that. A nice little accessory. Probably not something, though, I'm ever going to display with the figure. With all that effort, I'm just going to take the robe off anyways. Put that off to the side. And then the last thing that comes included with Krusty the Clown is actually two other face portraits. The one that he has right now is probably kind of, I'm guessing, more the one that people are going to be defaulting to. Is just a smiling face for Krusty. Ironically enough, though, the first time this guy was pre-ordered, the listing dropped with Krusty the Clown actually having a smoke in his mouth. Of course, by the fact that you can see that he doesn't have that face sculpt, they probably decided at the last minute wasn't a good idea to maybe promote a figure that has a smoke in his mouth. So the cigar was completely gone. What he does get instead, though, is like he comes included with a pretty just not dealing with it today kind of face. I like this head sculpt because it works really well with the robe. He also comes included with this one as well, which I'm sure he's probably spent away his money investing into some pyramid scheme or something, or just an ill-fated product that didn't do so well. Krusty the Clown is bankrupt again. I like this head sculpt. I don't know if it's something I'm going to ever really display with the figure. Really, of the three things that come included with the figure, head sculpt-wise, I'm probably just going to stick with the one that we have right now. If you, though, did want to change out the head, it's pretty easy. First of all, detailing done to the face is really nice. I like the way they've painted the top of the teeth. This one does kind of remind me as well of the evil Krusty the Clown doll we looked at in this channel like years and years ago. The hair is nicely done as well. And of course, you got the little tuft of hair there on the top. Now, to change the head is just a case of holding onto the torso, popping the head off from the provided post, take the head sculpt that you want to use. So maybe we'll go with this head sculpt, for example, and we'll just pop it back onto the ball joint. If you're having a hard time, by the way, doing this, you can always go the route of heating this in hot water. You can also take a few passes with a hairdryer. I know it's always something I say, and just wiggle it back onto the post. I have a little harder of a time getting this head sculpt in because at the beginning of the review, and probably a couple of times, I've been swapping out this head sculpt and then the smiling face. But I do like this head sculpt. It's just not going to be one I'm going to display with the figure. As a side note, though, I really like the way they've sculpted the tongue on this one. So it could be a contender maybe down the road. I might change my mind. I don't know. As for the rest of the figure's body, of course, he's sporting his regular Krusty the Clown pink top. He's got the blue colored, of course, bow tie. And then down below, he's got the very bright green pants. Big shoes to fill. One of my favorite Simpsons episodes was the one where Sideshow Bob, not that I'm spoiling, I'm sure, how old is that episode? Sideshow Bob pretends to be Krusty the Clown and robs a store, and Bart ends up stepping on the shoes and finds out later that Sideshow Bob was posing as Krusty because Krusty actually has tiny little feet. Those aren't his full-length feet. His feet are actually only about this size. He has, though, quite large clown shoes. Funny, though, that they actually gave him holes on the bottoms of his feet that, for all intents and purposes, you could plug onto the display stand. I mean, with the size of the feet that he has, these things are like boats. I don't think he really necessarily needs to have peg holes in the bottoms, but I guess they're there anyways if you wanted them. Now, for the figure's articulation, Krusty the Clown is going to be, once again, on that ball joint, so the head does rotate back and forth. It looks up, it looks down, and it also moves back and forth. Let's just make sure it's all the way on there. As for the arms do easily come out beyond, actually, the point of 90 degrees. You can take those arms and rotate them all the way around. And do the exact same thing on the other side. There's a swivel. Now, the swivel isn't actually here. If you're thinking it's going to be just below the sleeve, you'd be wrong. Instead, the swivel is right here in the forearm. There's also a hinge that also allows the arm to bend back and forth, and the hands rotate all the way around with a hinge there as well. The bottom of the waist does have a swivel, so you can, actually it's on a ball joint, so you can really get a good range when it comes to moving this guy around. And there again, you can also move it back and forth. Legs seem, unfortunately, here's some bad news. My legs, at least, not my legs, Krusty's legs, seem a little bit on the more looser side. You can see there's a ball joint inside there. The legs move forward and back. There's a hinge on the knee. Funny, though, that the knees are so tight on this figure, they're very hard to move. And yet, the top of the leg is extremely loose. Not to the point where, well, there's a little bit of a dinner bell here where you can move it back and forth. The legs really shouldn't be this loose, for this being the first time this mold's being used. And then there's the ankle pivot, so there's a hinge right there for the ankle, so that moves the ankle back and forth this way. And there's also a rock back and forth there as well. I really like the Krusty the Clown. I mean, obviously, not that I can't say I'd really be disappointed the fact that the figure didn't come included with a smoke face, because obviously Super 7 probably realized it probably wasn't a good idea to market a figure that had a head sculpt that had a smoke in his mouth, so they did away with that altogether. The thing about it, though, is kind of like Mo. This is one of the only few examples where we actually have ourselves a citizen of Springfield that actually does just look the part. Instead of deciding to put like Krusty the Clown in a weird outfit he only appeared in one episode in, or like the case of Bartman, for example, instead of just giving us a Bart Simpson, we actually do get ourselves a Krusty the Clown. And Krusty looks good. He comes with some pretty decent accessories. I do hope that down the road we might get another variation of Krusty, maybe either as zombie brain eating Krusty the Clown from Treehouse of Horror, or maybe even like locked away, like, I don't know, jail Krusty the Clown when he gets arrested in that one episode. But I'm sure if we only just have the one, I'm good with that. I do hope also as well that we get ourselves a Sideshow Bob. That's one of those top tier, probably within the top 5 figures that I would love to see Super 7 release. It might just be a time of just waiting it out. Hopefully we might still get it in a future wave. Now that I actually look at it, I think the alternate head sculpt that I'm using with Krusty right now in final looks works really well with the microphone, like he's singing a ballad with Sting. Are they sending their love down the well? One of my favorite Simpsons episode with Timmy O'Toole falls down the well. He tried to chew through his foot. He can't get through his sock. The figure itself of Krusty the Clown does come included with Teeny, so that's Mr. Teeny is a nice little included touch. Kind of wish, though, that the chimp could have come included with some additional articulation. Advertised online, bit of a fibber face, he can't hold the box of Krustyos. Instead, you can have Krustyos, I suppose, in Krusty the Clown's hands, might just be the way I'm going to be displaying the figure. Something I didn't mention, though, about Krusty the Clown was he does have a lot of paint flaking, especially in the areas of his shoulders. Luckily, at least they were smart enough to use a similar coloring on pink plastic for the hinge, but then unfortunately, they put so much paint over top of it that when you are moving the hinge around, you'll notice that a lot of paint will flake off in the process. The only other thing I had a problem with Krusty the Clown, as mentioned in this review, is that he has overly loose thighs. For a figure that I haven't had out of the packaging for more than an hour, it shouldn't really be the case. If they've used the mold again, that's one thing, but for this being a unique mold, and probably not one that we're going to see again, it really shouldn't be the case that he has loose legs right away. If you guys had the chance to pick up any of the Super 7 Simpsons Ultimate figures, let me know which ones you have by let me know down below in the comment section. If in the meantime, though, you guys are interested and would like to get your hands on Krusty the Clown or the already looked at Bartman, they are available right now at Entertainment Earth. That just happens to be the place where I end up picking them up. Clicking the link down provided in the video description not only will take you to the listing of Krusty the Clown, but that same link will save you 10% on anything that's currently in stock. It doesn't have to necessarily be Simpsons. It doesn't even have to necessarily be Super 7. It's anything that's in stock over on their site using that link provided will save you 10% off the bat. If you guys did, in the meantime, enjoy this video, I want to throw it a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing and you'd like to certainly see more, we may not be looking at any more Simpsons for at least right now, but I can already tell you there's some Super 7 reviews coming your way, so making sure you come back here on a regular basis. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.